We don't need this.
Assalamu
No, no
alaikum.
need for a table. No, that's a barrier.
Yeah, he speaks without.
So, just leave the table?
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Now, we said enough to sisters. It's your turn now to stop talking and start listening to the program. A speaker of tonight at our program is no stranger. He has been here before, Imam Hashim Ahmad. His whole life is inspirational, and we are really fortunate to have him here tonight. And I really request everyone, particularly my sisters, to please, please, please stay quiet for half an hour and get benefit from his wisdom, from his experience, from his knowledge. And it will be a real loss if we just lose him in the din of noise. So please, Jazakumullah khairan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So first of all, I would like to request everybody to come close. That's why I took the table away. I want everybody right here. We want to be close. So let's get together. Qaluban wa qaliban. Internally, externally. So if we can't get together in these gatherings, I mean, how are we going to get together as an ummah? Is it, even our brothers in the chairs, no problem. Bring your chairs up. Yeah, bring your chairs up here. Fadla, fadla. Yeah, taqarabu. There was a very interesting hadith of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, that there were people, there was three people that came by. One fellow, he came and he got right, to the front of the majlis. And some fellow, he was kind of like shy, he sat in the back of the majlis. Somebody just like it walked away. So Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam mentioned, should I tell you the example of those three people? He said, somebody, he came close to Allah. Why he came close in the majlis? Because he wanted to get close to Allah. So, awahullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought him close. Some fellow, he was istahya, fastahya Allah minhu. So he was feeling shy, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dealt with him according to his anayna dhanni abdi bi. And somebody didn't pay attention, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't pay attention to him. Allah is ghani. He doesn't need us, me, you, anybody. So it's a great fadl and ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that in this time of disconnection from everything, that we can connect, So this is very important to be together. Always in our majalis, be close together. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وأفضل الصلاة وتم التسليم من سيد الخلق سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحابته أجمعين أما بعد. So we have an interesting topic that was not, I didn't come up with this, some of our brothers, they suggested we talk about this in New York. We as American Muslims, so who are we? Good question. Number two, what challenges do we have? What are these big challenges? So obviously challenges beg solutions. And then finally, what's our aspirations? End of the game, end of the day, what would we, hope to achieve? So we can go on and on and on and on and on, but let's kind of focus down to doables. So number one, who are we? So as we mentioned in the khutbah, we're Muslims, which means what? A Muslim is, by virtue of the word itself, in the Arabic language, it's what we call ism fa'il, active participle. Muslim is not just, it's a label or it's a philosophy or it's an ethnicity or it's a place or it's a type of a person who has a specific type of mind and heart set. He's one who engages in Islam. Islam is a state of mind and heart which begs engagement. Islam is a submission, actively, conscientiously, cognizantly. And that's not going to happen unless we know who we're submitting to. So first of all, there has to be an attention to the Creator. We know Him. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His asma, by His sifat, by His signs. آياته في الآفاق وفي أنفسكم أفلا تبصرون. You don't see? Look around, look at yourselves. So as Muslims, our portfolio is very clear cut. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We talked about that in the khutbah. This is to be continuously engaged. Now, you have these diaries. Usually they start at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock and then they end around 5 o'clock. Now it's getting like 9 o'clock, And so like your day starts at 8 and ends at 5. What about the rest of the time? That's not life. It's existence, or I don't know. So, and that life of between 8 and 5 is about what? It's not about real living. It's not about ya'budun. It's about yaksibun. As though it's ma khalaqtul jinna wal insa illa liyaksibun, wa ya'kulun, wa yashrabun, wa yabnun, wa yatamatta'un, fasawfa ya'lamun. So, if that's our case, we'll be sadly disturbed, on the day of judgment. One of my friends, he says, I think on the day of judgment there's going to be a lot of surprises. People are going to be very surprised that, wait a minute, we weren't reckoning for this. You see? So as a Muslim, this is what we're supposed to be about. And not from 8 to 5, from the time we say, Alhamdulillah, ladhi ahyana ba'da ma mat, from the time that we open our eyes until the time we, Allahumma bismika amutu wahya. So everything between that is supposed to be between hamd and tasmiyah, with attention. So the first thing, Nabi alayhi salatu wasallam, interestingly also, that everything of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is just infinitely interesting and amazing. But of course, from here we understand the first conscious love, the first conscious, thing that would, roll across the tongue of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he would wake is alhamd. So just opening the eyes, immediate cognizance of the great favor of Allah, right? Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma matana wa ilayhi nushur. And even at that very juncture to recollect, wa ilayhi nushur. I woke up, but by the way, who said that I'm no stranger here? Where's our brother? I'm no stranger here. We're all strangers here. We're all strangers here. Nabi ﷺ says, Kun fi dunya kanika ghareeb wa abid. That's the problem. We don't think we're strangers. We think we're going to stay here forever. We're all strangers here. This is not our abode. We're not created for this. I understand what you meant. You had very good intentions, but we just have to correct our understanding of things. There was a fellow, he was walking along. On the way, he was going to some place he didn't know the way, so he came to the fork in the road, and there was an old fellow sitting there. He said, "Oh, uncle, where's the way to the city? Because there was a fork in the road. Which way do we get to the city?" He said, "Well, you go that way." I said, "Okay." So he goes, he ends up in the graveyard. He's playing around with me, this old guy. Thinks he's playing games, so we'll go back and teach him a lesson. So he goes back and says, "Okay, what are you playing around with me? Tastahzi'u bi?" He said, "No." He said, "Look, I've been around a long time, and I've been watching people born and come and go. And anybody who's born and he lives for a while over there in the town, what you call the town, he ends up over here in the graveyard, but he never leaves from there. So he asked me, where's the town? Where the people live, that's where they are. That's where they're staying. Nobody's staying over there." And this is something we have to understand. We have to really, deal with this, because we're living in a time, in a place, in the environment that it's all about now. Get, me, mine, whatever you can get before death. The whole predication of life is before death here. Look at your education system. What's it about? From day one until PhD and beyond, it's all about some career based on the acquisition of materials, which everybody knows they're going to leave. This is the paradox of the whole thing. Everybody knows that. Are you going to live forever? Nobody's going to say, yeah, I'm going to live forever. Except we do have some weirdos. I think Elon Musk, he has some concept that he's going to freeze his brain or something and he's going to, continue on his. It's really getting weird out there. But actually, everybody knows they're going to die. There's only one certainty in life, and that is death. That's the only thing certain. What is certain, we're not really worried about it, concerned about it, focus on it, prepare for it. What is definitely going to end, it's like we're going to be here forever. So as Muslims, we have to understand who we are, what we're supposed to be doing here. What's our objective here? It doesn't mean that we don't have various careers and various crafts and various. We do all those things, but keep them in perspective. They are means, not ends. Suppose somebody, goes in the bathroom and he sits there for 8 hours. Hey man, what are you doing in there? What is it, haram? No, it's not haram. It might even be wajib at times. When you have to go, right? But you go according to the haja, to your necessity. Kulu washrabu wala tusrifu. Eat and drink, you're a human being, naturally. But why do you eat and drink? Innamal a'malu bi an-niyat. What niyat? Okay, we all had lunch today. Who had a niyat of, something of a higher nature? That I'm eating this for the pleasure of Allah, that this might become fuel for the ibadat of Allah. This is how a Muslim is supposed to do. Illa liya'budun. This is illa liya'budun. So I'm eating, I'm sleeping, I'm engaging, I'm laughing, I'm going on a picnic, whatever I'm doing. It has to be connected to that overall objective. Otherwise, we're out of our portfolio. And if we've been hired for a particular portfolio and we start, doing other things, what's going to happen? We get fired, right? You might get a warning or two, and then you're going to get fired. وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا يَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمٍ غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُ أَمْثَالِكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, look, you turn away, you don't shape up, I can get in other people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the history of Islam. People think why do we have the mention of Bani Israel again and again and again in the Quran? Well, they thought they were the Qawmullah al-Mukhtar, we're the chosen people. Actually, our ancestors, that's where I'm from. I'm from the Jewish people, And my uncle, when I became a Muslim, he said, hey, we're the chosen people, I said, yeah, but chosen for what? That was the whole thing. You're chosen for what? I said, okay, sir, I'm choosing you. So obviously, for what? What do you want me to do? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a particular portfolio. I want you to be my vice regent. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Be my khalifa, and you'll continue to be chosen, you'll be continue to be elevated, you'll be continue to be made, supreme on the earth and in the hereafter. But if you think you're just, something special, you think by virtue of your lineage or your skin color or your ethnicity or your chacha, your dada or whoever, no. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no need for us. We have need for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every moment of our existence. We are muhtaj. Ya ayyuhan nas, antum al-fuqara ila Allah. Wallahu huwal ghaniyul hamid. And he goes on to tell us, if he wants, he can change us all. So we as Muslims, that's the first thing we have to get right. Wherever we happen to be, we're in America, we're in the 21st century, it doesn't matter where you are. That's what we're about. And we have to learn how to, we have to shape our lives accordingly, our careers accordingly, our families accordingly, our businesses accordingly, our education accordingly, everything. It has to be aligned with that, which is not a very difficult thing to do if we're focused. If we're focused, if we understand. Now, number two is, we are Americans. Like it or not, somebody asked me, okay, so, what about, should we actually try and come to America? If we're in America, should we leave America or what, So I recalled, you remember Wasif? Wasif Mandur, he said a nice thing. He said, living in America is kind of like the waba. It's like the plague. If you're not in it, don't approach it. And if you're in the plague, you're not supposed to leave. So if you guys are here, you gotta deal with it. Deal with it. And if you do, it's a great thing. I personally, traveling around the world and living on this planet for a while, probably longer than most of you, I've come to this conclusion that that's why I'm back here. When I left America, initially in the, beginning of 1970s, I never wanted to see this country again. I thought this is just ridiculous. I mean, these bullies of the world and just going around just, yufsiruna fil ard, really, just creating chaos all over the world. I don't want to be part of it. Never wanted to see this country again. And here I am. Why? So people ask me, why? Why are you back here? Because I think there's great opportunities here for Muslims. And the American people are really basically very nice people. For the most part, we all know that. You got some knuckleheads out there, but they're basically very good people, They're just mahroom. They don't have a guide. They don't have people to tell them, or show them even, what the thing is. But I really think that Islam, Sami Hamdi, he said a nice thing. He says a lot of nice things, by the way. That he was asked, so you're from England and you come to America. He comes to America a lot these days, right? So he says, what difference do you see in America, Islam in America and Islam in England? And he said a very interesting thing, which is kind of a disconcerting concept, but it's interesting. And it kind of gives us an insight into the peculiarity of the situation we have here in America. He says in England, we have more the traditional Islam and Islamic institutions and ulama and we have more of that. And they were well established in all of that well before America had anything. I know because I saw it in my early days. But you don't have celebrity imams over there. You don't have Islamic celebrities, which it sounds kind of weird, especially for me. Coming from show business, it looks really weird, and it is. But the fact that our youth in America, they're starting to look up, they have heroes who are ulama, who are Muslim scholars. It's pretty dangerous for those scholars because, with that limelight and with that attention, that's very, very, very dangerous. But nevertheless, it shows that, it's another dimension that we don't have anywhere else. Everywhere else, pretty much in the world, it's like, particularly the youth. Old stuff, but we have a very vibrant opportunity here. And the very fact that people are so distraught because they've been so disconnected from anything divine or anything real or anything even logic. And their problems are just, compounding on a daily basis. And when we show them the very simple solutions of Islam and this beautiful life, they say, wow. So we have a huge opportunity here, to spread Islam. And of course, what kicks off in America, it spreads all over the world, So as Muslims here in America, if we get our objective correct, and we use this incredible intelligence, because you're all extremely intelligent, particularly places like here. I mean, you're all connected to these Ivy League schools, and you're all, very high class, professionals in very, very specialized fields. You have this, I think the collective brain power we have in this majlis would be something above and beyond, full states of intelligence that we have, Now, the point is, though, do we use this intelligence for the purpose we've been created for? Why are we being CEOs and managers and investors in their stuff? Think about that. We're running all their, we're all these boycotts and all this stuff that we're supposed to be doing. We got the top Muslims, Muslims are in the top positions of these things. So they're just having a good time with us. We still have not broken the yoke of colonialism. Think about this. We still, think that they have, they don't have anything. We have so much. We have everything. Really, you look at Muslims, we have everything that we need to dominate in everything. Except the mentality and the determination. You know, we're Imam Ghazali, he says, very interesting, he says, لا تنتظم الدنيا إلى أحد الشخصين المتحور والمتوكل. متحور, I'm not going to explain that. Just look at Donald Trump and you've got a mutahawir. I'm just going to do it. That's just by the virtue that I'm going to do it and that's it. Khalas, I don't care what happens, who, what, I'm going to do it. So these kind of guys, because they have determination. And Allah has a system, okay, give him rope, he'll ultimately hang himself, but give him rope. And then the mutawakkil. So this person now, he puts his connection and he puts his dependence on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so ultimately he's going to make it. And this is our legacy. So as American Muslims, we also have to realize what we have. We have what everybody needs. It's not like they have what we need, we have what they need. We have to have a paradigm inversion. They need us much more than we need them. As long as we understand that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also open up doors of fath that are not open at this particular point in time, because we think we need them, we need their system, we need their resources, we need their platforms, we need their systems. We should be dominating in all of these things. And I'm telling you now, when I became a Muslim, we didn't have this kind of situation. We didn't have, the Muslims really had, we had immigrants that were just starting to come to America. We had people like us, misfits from various social backgrounds that were nowhere in society and without education, so we didn't have all of these, we had no resources as a matter of fact. But now we have everything. Here in America, you've got everything you need. And as an ummah, we have everything. We have more than anybody. The only thing we don't have is we don't have determination, we don't have vision, and we don't have this mind and heart set that we are subservient. We don't really believe that we're subservient to Allah and everything therefore should be subservient to us. That's how it used to go. But now since we've turned our service, in our vision, in our expectations to other than Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, so we remain under the yoke. As soon as we break that yoke, inshallah we'll fly. Okay. Now, how much time do we have? Okay, there's a lot that we can talk about. It can go on and on and on. And the discussion, the narrative will go on and on and on as long as we're here, and we need to keep continuously, analyze our situation, think about where we are, who we are, what we're doing, unite. But I want to share, again, Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, it's timeless, whatever he has to say is timeless, because Islam is timeless. So the challenges. So we can go into all these, little far'i challenges that we have, but I'll tell you what, actually what our ulama said centuries ago remains exactly the same static of today. The dynamics of the static go this way, that way, but the static is the same. We have basically 4 big hurdles and obstacles in life. Whether we're in America, whether we're in Russia, whether we're in South America, wherever we happen to be. And whatever time we live in. 4 major hindrances that keep us back from moving ahead the way we would like to. Number 1, the world and the worldly. And that, again, we already talked about that in a kind of general sense. Thinking that I'm here for the world is basically the whole ghalat, that sort of has corrupted our whole course of action in our, in our planning and our systems, because we think we are here for the world. And to acquire the world and to manage the world, resources, the physical world. So the world and the worldly, being connected to that and being strangled by that and being day and night, So if we're continuously focusing our minds and our hearts and our efforts and our resources in the acquisition of the world, then how will we focus on our actual portfolio, which is to be connected with Allah and doing what He wants us to do in any moment or any circumstance in our life. We'll be too busy. The mind and heart will be overwhelmed with the acquisition of the world. We can't think about what Allah really wants from me at any given time. So, Imam Ghazali says, okay, so what do we do? He says there's one basic concept that we have to adopt. It's called zuhud. Zuhud. Which means we see the world for what it is. We don't put any importance on it. It's not valuable. It's a place of test and trial. We're supposed to try and get through as best we can and as least affected as we can and utilize it to our benefit and not let it utilize us to our detriment. Like the ship. Ship is for the sea. So if you build a ship and you keep it on the land and you say, well, I'm afraid if we put it in the sea, it's very dangerous. There's a heavy risk. It could be sunk. It could be destroyed. So what's the point of the ship in the first place? Ship has to go in the sea. The only thing is that the ship in the sea must remain seaworthy. It must remain waterproof. If the water gets into the ship, then it sinks. Same with us. We're in the world. We have families. We have engagements. We have occupations. We have crafts. We're involved in all the things that human society was engineered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to engage in. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, to see who's going to be the best indeed. But the perspective remains clear. Everything that I'm engaging in is a test and trial, and I have to see the order of Allah, what Nabi alayhi salatu approached this particular situation, and try and do that. So, if we see the world for what it is, and we remove the attachment to it, and the love for it, and the passion for it, life is going to be very easy. And personally, I've seen, traveling around the world and living here for some time, I've found the happiest people always, Muslims and non-Muslims, are the poorest people. Go to the richest places, I'll show you the most stressed out and anxiety-stricken people on the planet. You go to the poorest places, I was just in Indonesia, in an island called Lombok. I've never seen happier people in my life. I've seen some happy people, but I've never seen it. It was amazing. Everybody's happy. Men, women, kids, older people, everybody's, they're all smiling, they're all happy. So I asked one fellow, I said, I know you're Muslims and you've got a beautiful place and, it's relatively simple life and, but what's the secret? Why is everybody so happy? He said, because we Indonesians, we don't think about tomorrow. Now that would be a big problem in America. You don't think about tomorrow, no planning. Well, we don't think about it. We have something to eat today. We're fine. We're not worried about tomorrow. Tomorrow, Allah will do it. Now just reflect. Nabi alayhi salatu, what he said? He said, "Man asbaha aminan fi sirbi, mu'afan fi jasadihi, lahu quta yawmihi, fa ka'annahu hizat ad-dunya bi hadafiriha." Somebody wakes up and he's feeling secure in his heart because he's got iman, he's got, he has great expectation with Allah. And his body is relatively healthy, right? He's got something to eat today. Something. It's like he's got the entire world. It's all in his hand. After all, what are you going to do? How much of the world do you want? And what do you want from that world? The paradox is we think the more world we get, the better position we get, the better we're going to be happier. Kalla. Hasha wa kalla. It doesn't work that way. In fact, the studies have been recently made, and they actually did a study because it's such an elusive thing, happiness. Nobody's happy. Even though they think, I just get this thing and I'm going to be happy. I get that job, we're going to be happy, right? I get that bank account, I'm going to be happy. I just need that new car and then everybody's going to be happy. It doesn't work. We just get more unhappy. So they did a study, I think it was a Stanford study or one of these universities. So they came to this conclusion, they showed a chart actually, and they showed that the level of happiness is directly proportionate to the materialist nature of your aspirations. The more your aspirations or objectives are material based, the lower your happiness level is going to be. And the more your objectives are something higher and above you and above materials, the higher your happiness level is going to be. And nobody had to give us a study to know that. Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. It's very simple. You remember Allah, you sit down and, people say, I'm stressed. Sit down, stop thinking, turn off your internal, chatter, and just say Allah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. Think about that. Sit down and do some zikr. It works wonders. So we have simple solutions. Very simple. So Imam Ghazali, he says, Zuhd, if we understand dunya for what it is, we put it in its place, focus on what we're... Okay, number one. Number two, society. Society. Connections, people. It's a great ni'mat that we have relations, we have families, we have neighbors. But at the same time, وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضُكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ. So everybody's a fitna for everybody else. Wife is fitna for husband, husband is fitna for wife, parents are fitna for the children, children are fitna for the parents, relatives are fitna for one another, neighbors are fitna for one another, nations are fitna for... It doesn't mean fitna meaning that it's bad. It just means that there's a test involved. There's a trial, there's a tribulation, there's issues. So, a person who really understands this, he's going to limit his social engagement to the extent that it's going to be beneficial. Okay? So what does that put us in 21st century United States of America? Facebook, Twitter, all this social engagement. We can't be socially disengaged. If you're not disengaged at some point in time in your day, in your week, in your month, from the society, from the creation, how are you going to connect meaningfully with the Creator? In salat, in zikr, in tilawat, in fikr, etc. So, our relationship with society, and the paradox is, and because we don't have a connection with Allah, so we want connection with something, someone, somebody. Man wants to be cared for, he wants to be loved, he wants to be recognized. So if you're loved by Allah and recognized by Allah and His angels, Jibreel, Mikael, and then if we have cognizance of that, then that's what is higher than that. But if we don't have this consciousness, then we're always seeking recognition from creation. I should be appreciated. I should be, liked. Likes, thumbs up, how many. It's really sick. And the other thing is that the reality is, it's creating more disassociation than association. Yeah. That's why we have these young kids. They're suicidal because this fantasy world, that this fantasy social engagements, Facebook, all this digital, fantasy land has created this land that there's no reality. People reflect on their own personal reality. Where am I? Nowhere. So what's the point? So our relationship with the creation, minimize our connection with the creation to the extent that it's beneficial. When they say quality time with the family, yeah, time with the family where there's beneficial interaction with our brothers, with our sisters, with our relatives, our neighbors, and But just hanging out for the sake of hanging out, what's the point? Generally what happens, just hanging out, people start, joking and mocking at other people. It ends up in an argument, they end up in a fight, and somebody gets killed, and this is what happens. So, connection with one another, society, dealing with society to the extent that it's beneficial. Okay, so these are, external things, and then we have the two internal, big problems. So we have shaitan who is external, but he has the ability to mess with our internal as well. And keeping in mind that shaitan is an enemy, that there's no possibility for a truce. We might have a truce with anybody, but not shaitan. Inna shaitan lakum aduwan fattakhiduhu aduwa. He's your avowed enemy, so treat him as such. He's not going to let up, never. And if you have an enemy that you know is always after you to destroy you, are you going to be ghafil? Are you going to be negligent? Are you going to be... If you know that you're on the hit list of some really khatanak gang, are you going to sleep well in the night? Are you going to be vigilant? Extremely. So no hit gang worse than shaitan and his gang. And he's always after us. And he has sworn in front of Allah, I'm going to take all of them with me to Jahannam. So therefore, shaitan, he's an enemy, treat him like an enemy. And when you have an enemy, you have to know how your enemy works. He's not foolish. He's been around a long time. And he has a trick for everybody. So that's a huge branch of knowledge that we all have to learn. How does shaitan, would he attack somebody like me in my situation? Okay. And last but not least, the most difficult of all is nafs. Nafsuka allati bayna jambayk, a'daik. The most animosity, the most horrific in animosity of all your enemies is your own nafs. Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu. It's always going to order you to do wrong. So how do we deal with nafs? Again, you can't eliminate because it's part of us. It's our essence. It's part of our essence. So what do? We have to learn to control it. We have to learn to train it. We can't give it everything that it wants. It requires mujahada. Mujahada. Jihadul akbar. Because that's a jihad that is continuous. Every moment. And again, a huge branch of knowledge, how nafs plays with us. How nafs it wants. It's like the small child. Me, I want. So if we capitulate, we're destroyed. But we learn to control, we learn to utilize it, harness it, and direct the nafs in the correct direction. That requires two things, knowledge and mujahada. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq. Now, I've mentioned a lot of things which I don't claim to have. I'm also a student and a talib of these things as you. And it's not something we're going to listen to a, half an hour talk and okay, the problem is solved. It is a lifelong struggle. I'll end this discussion with the saying of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah tabarak wa ta'ala. It was mentioned that on his deathbed, he was heard saying, La hatta al-an, la hatta al-an. No, not yet, no, not yet. So his son asked him, yeah, but what's this? No, not yet, no, not yet. He said, Shaitan came to me and said, Ya ibn Hanbal, najawta minni, la hatta al-an. He said, oh, Ibn Hanbal, you made it. You were able to escape my clutches. He said, no, not yet. Until actually I'm out and I get that bishara, ya ayyatuha an-nafs al-mutmainna. Oh, you fortunate soul. I have no guarantee. So this is a lifelong struggle, struggling to deal with the world and the worldly. We live in the world, we have to deal with it. And in the 21st century, in the United States, it becomes even more and more complex. Right? We are societal creatures. We live in society, but how to navigate in relationships in a healthy way, in a beneficial way, a huge branch of knowledge as well. And trial and error and practice. And dealing with shaitan and dealing with nafs. Knowledge, mujahada, effort. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to connect with people who are connected with these subjects and have knowledge about it and have experience in it. Learn from them, observe them, be in the environment where this kind of things are being practiced, talked about, demonstrated. And it's a lifelong struggle. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me, you, all Muslims, inshallah, tawfiq, to take us through all of this journey through the life and finally to His pleasure and His special VIP accommodations in Jannat al-Firdaus. Ameen thumma ameen wa akhir da'wana. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ولا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah, after Maghrib Salat, my father Sheikh Hashim will be around for any questions, for any advice that anyone would like to ask. And this is also specifically a request from some of the sisters and some of the converts as well. So convert sisters and brothers, anyone who would like to have a session